दुनिया में लोगों को धोखा कभी हो जाता है Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host for this evening, York grad and past Bryden recipient, Andrew Craig.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Craig. I am very pleased to be your host this evening for the 2012 edition of the Bryden Awards. I'd like to, before we even get started, love to get you to give one more round of applause to Auto Rickshaw Presents Bollywood Rewind. Now, what you may or may not know is that, much like we have here in North America, Bollywood had a golden age, and the music that this ensemble performs comes from that golden age. If we had a room full of Indians, you would have sung along with every single word. All the tunes from that golden era are well known. So they'll be performing again a little later on, and I'll expect by that point you will have pulled out your smartphones, done your research, and got the words so you can sing along then. Their lead singer, in fact, Subha Sankaran, is a graduate of York's Faculty of Fine Arts with both undergraduate and master's degrees in music. Dylan Bell is also a graduate. The band's performed across Canada and around the world. We're very lucky to have them here tonight. And one more piece of information which is York-centric. Myself, yours truly, Dylan Bell, and Subha Sankaran were all among the early student directors of a jazz choir at York called Weeby Jazz. And this year it celebrates 25 years, believe it or not. But on to the central bit of business. Tonight we are celebrating 5 remarkable people who have made the world a better place with their talents, their creativity, their determination, and their drive. Let me tell you about them. Chris Penrose is one of Toronto's most important voices on violence, policing, and community issues as they affect youth. As executive director of the community organization Success Beyond Limits, he's helped to improve the academic prospects of literally hundreds of kids in the Jane Finch community. Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts President and CEO Kathleen Taylor is one of Canada's foremost business leaders and was recently named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. Mark Wilczewski is one of Canada's foremost experts on supporting students with learning, mental health, and physical disabilities. Since joining York in 1985, he's played a pivotal role in the success of thousands of students. Through her vulnerable, complex, and deeply personal accounts of her own life, multidisciplinary artist Nina Arsenault is tearing down the walls of our culturally constructed notions of sex and gender. And as a longtime member of York's Board of Governors, the Schulich School of Business Dean's Advisory Council, and the York University Foundation Board of Directors, John Hunkin has played a significant role in the shaping of the modern face of York University. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for this year's recipients. I can tell you it's a tremendous honor to be considered for a Bryden Award, myself being a former recipient. When you consider the number of individuals who graduated from this very venerated and respected university across all fields, to be singled out in this way is tremendous. And I can tell you that the folks with whom I share this honor, I almost feel most times like I don't really deserve to be in that particular category. There are extraordinary things being done throughout York and throughout the community at large done by these individuals. They are very much deserving of all the accolades we can give them. Before I introduce our first speaker, I should make a few important acknowledgments. We'd like to welcome the many deans and senior administrators here tonight. In addition, we'd like to thank the many volunteers who have joined us this evening, including Guy Burry, the chair of York University's Alumni Association, Julia Foster. Oh, let's applause, please, yes. Julia Foster, the chair of York's Board of Governors, the indefatigable Julia Foster. And all the members of the York Board of Governors and the YUAA. And a special welcome to representatives from our affinity partners whose generous support has made tonight possible. Our video sponsor, Manulife Financial. Our reception sponsor, MBNA. And TD Insurance Meloche Monix, a founding partner of the Bryden Awards. Please your applause for all of that. We are very pleased to have all of you in the room with us this evening. Okay, so if you are a Twitter type, you can join the conversation online by using the hashtag Bryden. Post your own thoughts in the comments of the evening as we go. Consider this permission to use the phone at your table. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to hear a few words from our fearless leader, York University 7th President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Mamdouh Shukri. Dr. Shukri? Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and good evening, everyone. I hope that you are all enjoying yourselves. First of all, let me say that it is great to be here with some of the greatest ambassadors of York University, like our present and past Bryden winners. I'm particularly pleased to see with us, of course, Julia Foster, our chair of the board, and the many distinguished members of the York University family. It's great to see all of you here. Well, in meeting our alumni, I'm always interested in learning about their successful journeys and the role that York University played in that journey. In turn, I continue to look to all of you to share the York story with the rest of the world. And what a story to tell. If you think you know York, you really don't. York is not the same university that it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and even 1 year ago. This is York's time. This year has been a wonderful and a great year for York University. We've had so much to be proud of that I'd like to share with you. We just celebrated the opening of the newly renovated Osgood Hall Law School, the new Life Sciences building, and the Glendon's Centers of Excellence. We are renovating York Lanes, and construction has started on the Pan Am Games Stadium, and soon on the engineering building. We officially announced the new Lassonde School of Engineering, created with support from government and the private sector through a $25 million donation from Pierre Lassonde. And we launched an impressive new branding campaign called This Is My Time. These are all very exciting things, but I keep saying we keep building this new and impressive infrastructure because it's part of creating the best learning environment possible for our students, and that's what it's all about. All of these exciting changes and transformation will be to the benefit of our students, helping them to create their own special journey, much like yours. I'd like to congratulate all the winners of the York University Bryden Awards: Kathleen Taylor, John Hunkin, Mark Wolski, Nina Arsenault, and Chris Penrose. It's really an incredible group of people. They are a remarkable group of people, remarkable for the level of success they have achieved, and particularly remarkable for the diverse areas in which they have excelled. You, tonight's Bryden winner, you are all an inspiration for our students. Our students look to you to learn how to make a difference in the world so that they, in turn, can become true citizens of the world. You are passionate about what you do, and you are equally as passionate about York, and for that, we are very grateful. And so we celebrate your achievements, and we thank you for all what you have done for York University. Now, I know there will be many speakers, and I want to take much of more of your time, but I would be remiss if I did not include one other person in the list of outstanding alumni of York, and that's Guy Burry. Where's Guy? Guy is the outgoing chair of the board of York's Alumni Association. He is a true dedicated leader, always at football games, hockey games, announcements, golf tournaments, you name it. Guy is always there raising the flag and supporting York University. He has been an incredible member of the York family, and even though he is stepping down as the chair of the Alumni Board, I know he will continue to support us through his role on the Board of Governors and forever as a true York ambassador. Thank you, Guy, for the great work you have been doing. Again, it is wonderful to see so many distinguished people here to share with us this evening. Congratulations to the winners of the Bryden Awards, and thank you all, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Shukri. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the chair of York's Board of Governors, Julia Foster, to say a few words.
You know, we're so blessed at this institution because not only do we have vital, engaged students who make life on campus very interesting, but then we have graduates like Andrew Craig, and we do honor them with a Bryden Award, but they keep on coming back and giving to us and championing us and making our occasions such a sense of celebration. Thank you, Andrew. My first association with York was, in fact, going on the Fine Arts Advisory Committee, and that's where I met Andrew. So I know what a dynamic and giving person he is to this institution. I'd like to join Dr. Shukri in congratulating all of the Bryden Award winners. This is your night. You're surrounded by family, friends, and colleagues. But you should know also that there is a very much larger community, some of whom are here, but many whom are not, who are celebrating your achievements, who are very proud that you are role models for them in the community. They look at the things that you have done, and it gives real inspiration to our students to know that these are things they can achieve as well. The Bryden Awards are very broad, and as you hear and see films on each of our award winners tonight, you will be astounded, in fact, at the breadth of experience and achievement of each of these 5 people. But again, they are just a small representation of so much that's excellent that's going on the campus today and with our York graduates here and around the world. Our president and dean of arts and professional studies just came back from China, and there were large numbers of graduates there who gathered many years after graduation to celebrate and be thankful for the time they spent at York and the kind of education they got. So, as chair of the Board of Governors, I encourage you all to take pride in each and every one of these accomplishments. Share them with your friends and colleagues. Let's make sure that everyone knows that York University is a place where great things begin. And if I may add one small sidebar comment, Bryden Award winners have quite often come and joined us at the governance table as a Board of Trustee. And I encourage you, John Hunkin has just come back on the board, to think that that might be something you could do as well. We would love to see you back at York. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Now, as we say in the music business, it's time to give out some hardware. So if you are a veteran of this event, you'll understand the format, but for those who might be new to it, let me recap how this is done. Once again this year, we'll be introducing each award recipient with a video that demonstrates how deserving they all are for their respective honors. Then we'll call upon Mamdouh Shukri, the President and Vice Chancellor of York University, and Guy Burry, the Chair of the York University Alumni Association, to present the recipients with their awards. And finally, of course, we get to hear from the award recipients themselves. Our first honor of the night goes to a graduate for his remarkable professional accomplishments early in his career. Chris Penrose is being recognized tonight as one to watch.
Everywhere I look, I see opportunity, but I wouldn't be where I am now and experiencing what I'm experiencing if I hadn't both taken advantage of opportunities that came and also messed up some that maybe I'm wiser for. That keeps me going forward. Success Beyond Limits is a community-based organization. We're based out of Westview Centennial, the local high school in the Jane and Finch community. We have a youth space in the school. We're there 24/7 throughout the school year, and we're at York University during the summer for a 6-week summer program. There was a clear need being seen throughout the community for more supports at Westview Centennial, and it was a response that was looking at how do we improve achievement, how do we improve the conditions, how do we improve opportunities. So it was really a collective response to a problem that just seemed so endemic. When I think about youth and the situations that they're facing right now in Toronto, I always refer back to where I was when I was 17. I made a lot of bad decisions. The path to success that I've experienced, I know the factors that it took to get me from where I was to where I am, and it was really one step after the other.
York graduate Chris Penrose is an advocate for youth and a champion for the Jane Finch community. As the founding executive director of Success Beyond Limits, he has had direct and positive impact on the lives of hundreds of youth in the community. Drawing on his own turbulent adolescence, Chris inspires and provides youth with the tools to help them defy high dropout rates, get better grades, and expand their own possibilities for the future. A regular invited guest on CBC Metro Morning, Chris is an important voice in Toronto on violence, policing, and youth community issues.
My role in Success Beyond Limits is to be able to shift lenses all the time. And that's what Latin American and Caribbean Studies is about let's look at this region and what does it look like through literature? What does it look like through geography, humanities, social science, anthropology? And being able to have that framework, the same issue can look completely different from a different lens. And that has been the most transferable skill. I could name 1-2 professors that had a big impact on me, but it wasn't just 1-2 professors. It was most of the professors, most of the TAs that I had. York University is in the Jane and Finch community, and York University is the Jane and Finch community. They're one and the same, though it may not always seem like it, they are. And I think by the university being in the community, it still has an impact. They're two parts of one whole. I think that's where we get to that point where that more that both have to offer each other and both have to learn from each other is achieved. The years that we've spent together and knowing the ups and downs they had, to see them in that place where they're putting one foot in front of the other and moving to where they want to be, that's the most fulfilling part of this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the 2012 Bryden Alumni Award for One to Watch, an award particularly close to my heart, Chris Penrose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. I would like to first thank the York University Alumni Association and the Bryden Alumni Committee for the honor of being a part of this evening. I'm happy to accept the Bryden Alumni Award as the one to watch, but I have to say it sits awkwardly with me. If you could write a list of all the people that are a part of this, it would be a scroll that's taller than me on the stage, so it's something I wear with a lot of other people in mind. My amazing family and friends that are here to support, I really appreciate you. I also want to thank my nominators because to me that's the highest compliment. They work with me day in and day out in different ways. They really know me, and I was very surprised to be nominated, but it is such a high compliment to be nominated. I want to say also, I was at the Bryden Luncheon. They hold it in October. It's designed to have recipients and the committee meet each other. And I was fortunate to meet Mrs. Bryden and some of Mr. Bryden's friends. As I heard stories about his legacy and the way that he affected those that were closest to him, that made this honor touch me even more deeply. So I did want to share that. As you saw, I work in the not-for-profit sector. And one of the consistent challenges we face is around data, evaluation. We're facing big questions, and we struggle to answer them. So examples are, how are you making a difference? How are you having an impact? And the million-dollar question, or whatever your funding is, what's the return on investment? I have some data from my own journey. My grade 10 report card. Science, 38%. Math, 41%. Visual arts, 44%. How do you get 44% visual arts? Computer studies, 51%, and don't get excited about that. The teacher knew he would have me next year if he passed me, or if he failed me, so he passed me. While those things sound bad, things got worse before they got better. I won't go into everything, but I will say that the marks were a small part of a bigger, dimmer picture. But I see my struggles in many of the youth that I'm privileged, and I will use that word privilege, to have in my life. So being here for me, it took a mysterious recipe of waking up to my potential through my passions, driven by the hope that there was the possibility of fulfillment. And I can say that much of that fulfillment comes back to my time at York. So I used to skip grade 12, fourth period, every Thursday to volunteer at the radio station at York. And that's what got me thinking, maybe I should actually come here as a student. I was able to attend the United Nations World Youth Forum, the first time it was held in Africa and Senegal, as a York student. Great friendships. The best man at my wedding, I was the best man at his. It was formed at York. We had 2 classes together. The foundation of my marriage with my wife, Crystal, also was established at York. We were both English majors, kind of romantic. My connection to Jane and Finch was sparked as a York student, and the most important step in my career, and I've had a very long resume, and it's not because it's like some of the people who are winning awards tonight, it's just I had a lot of jobs. But my role with Success Beyond Limits was definitely the most significant, and it brought me back to York. It's not a mistake that the majority of our team are York alumni and based in the community. To close, there's one more thing I want to share, and I just want to say that my parents were raised in Scarborough. I was born in British Columbia. I came back here around the age of 5. I've lived in many, many parts of the GTA, but I mostly identify in the East End, Scarborough to be exact. I'm asked a lot, what's your connection to Jane and Finch? My first answer, I'm a Torontonian. Toronto, Jane and Finch is in Toronto. So that's the first connection. But more personally, I was a York student, and for me, York and Jane and Finch have been the same community. To me, this award represents the possibility of a truth I hold dear and a reality I aspire to be a part of, which is York and Jane and Finch living and breathing as one community. Thank you again, everybody, for this remarkable honor.
Fantastic. And I just want to add that I grew up a stone's throw away from Jane and Finch. I have a keen understanding of the types of challenges faced by the residents of that community. It is difficult to overstate the value of the contributions that people like Chris Penrose make. So thank you so much, Chris, for your ongoing work in a very, very needed area of Toronto. Ladies and gentlemen, our next honor of the night goes to a graduate who has achieved true distinction in her field and whose integrity and ability inspires alumni, faculty, staff, and students alike. Pinnacle achievement seems in some ways like an understatement for this graduate, Kathleen Taylor.
For me personally, to have started in the joint program of law and business and then to have ended up with a career in hospitality, probably not an obvious straight line or bright line connection, but does send an important message, I think, to people that the sky's the limit. When I first came to Four Seasons, I wasn't really looking for a career in hospitality. I was really looking for some business experience. I thought that if I was going to move up in the world, I probably would need to move on. Ultimately, though, what I found at Four Seasons was a job that I absolutely loved. Mentoring is a huge obligation because it really is something you have to come to work thinking about every day. You may not actually actively mentor someone every day, but you are, even unknowingly, because they're watching you. They're watching the things you say, they're watching the things you do, they're watching how you act under stress and pressure, and they're learning from those experiences.
Four Seasons President and CEO Kathleen Taylor is one of the country's foremost business leaders. Kathleen's impressive rise from corporate counsel to head of one of the best-known luxury hospitality companies in the world exemplifies the benefits of her Osgood Schulich Joint JD MBA. Recently named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women, Kathleen is also an active contributor to her community, volunteering for the Toronto United Way and Hospital for Sick Children Foundation. The first woman named Corporate Hotelier of the World by Hotels Magazine, and the first of her family to attend university, Kathleen embodies the qualities of a true global leader.
I'm a big believer in building stronger communities will build a better future for everyone. Focusing and investing in our kids is a huge part of what leaders need to do, I think, not only in Canada, but all around the world. I think one of the biggest challenges that people face in business and in life is figuring out how to make the kinds of choices that will give them the life that they're looking for. Some people call it work-life balance. I refer to it all the time as, your personal compromises. And I think the joint program that I experienced at York was great training for those difficult choices. You were always extremely busy from an academic perspective. There were many, many clubs and causes to get involved in, be they political or philanthropic or cultural. You had to get your work done, you had to keep your marks up, but you also wanted to have a lot of the personal and relationship experiences that those programs offer. And so figuring out how to fit that all together in a way that worked for you personally was particularly good training for what was to come in business life. I think the greatest memory we probably have of our days in the joint program was being underground a lot. We actually were the Faculty of Administrative Studies back when I did my MBA, and we were connected to the law school through some underground passageways, which is where the food and beverage was. And if you contrast our experience to what is available to Canadian and international students, both at Osgood and Schulich today, there's just no way to describe the progress that's been made. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, obviously winning the Pinnacle Award is a huge, huge honor, and to be awarded this distinguished prize by the university is absolutely fantastic for me, and I think sends a wonderful signal to people who have also graduated from York about the value of the York education.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present to you the 2012 Bryden Alumni Award winner for Pinnacle Achievement, Kathleen Taylor.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, friends, family. Obviously, you can hear from the video, I very deeply appreciate the honor that you do me today. To be counted among, have you taken time to read these awards at the back of the room? To be counted among the past Bryden Alumni Award winners, but more importantly, tonight's, is truly a very, very extraordinary and distinguished honor. Those of you who know me well know I've been very proud of my association with York University. The truth is that from a very young age, I loved going to school. Chris, I never skipped class. I was one of those kids who was just a do-gooder, always wanted to win that trophy. But like you, I continue to have a tremendous love of learning. And one of the lessons that I took away from my days at the MBA and law school is a story that I'll tell you tonight. But most importantly, when I chose those programs, it wasn't for academic reasons. It was that I knew that graduating from them would take an extraordinarily long time. This was the longest graduate degree in existence at the time that I enrolled. But also, it's fair to say that what I learned while I was there has served me very, very well in my career and provided me with an extraordinary base of knowledge that enabled me, like so many of the recipients before me and those tonight, to go on and pursue my dreams. But I also came away with some very, very practical life skills. These programs were truly a training ground, as you heard me say in the video, for juggling real-life priorities and competing interests. And it's where we learned, as students in both the business school and the law school, to function very well without adequate sleep, something that is extraordinarily important as a parent or if you're traveling around the world all the time. It was also a crash course in time management. So many, many little things that proved to be lifelong lessons for me. And I think we sometimes take for granted some of those experiences that we learn in university, but the non-academic ones can be some of the most important lessons of all. For me, I think the most profound set of memories that I have at York, apart from being underground, was the value of building relationships across all kinds of skill sets, diverse backgrounds, course loads, projects. The people who we juggled project timetables, exam timetables, assignment timetables with, all came from different backgrounds, all came from different cultures, all came from different interests. But we had really, really common interests that brought us together. And those relationships made an indelible impression on me. They had to translate, of course, if you were going to get out of there, into great marks. But they also translated into so many good times that I reflect on more than I can count. And in my business career at Four Seasons, which has now spanned almost 24 years, successful relationships and building them are at the root of our company's success. We operate 90 hotels today in 36 different countries across more cultures and more diverse landscapes than I even experienced when I was at York. And the relationships that we have with guests and customers, our hotel owners, nearly 40,000 employees worldwide today, are really the power behind our company and, I believe, any great organization. When I was growing up, my parents always taught us kids that you would get far in life if you treated other people the way you expected to be treated. And this is a value foundation that forms the culture that is Four Seasons. Key ingredients, I think, to any business success based on relationships. And I think what has brought me really a good deal of success in my business career. These are the ethics that provide us guidance on how to deal with others when they're dealing with us, and really are the most rewarding relationships that we can build in business. But of course, for most of us in this room, the most important relationship of all is the one we have with family, with friends. Anyone with a busy work life knows that you don't get to stand here at these lecterns or have celebrations at these evenings unless you have tremendous support from your family and extended family and friends. My husband and I now are watching our son and our youngest daughter as they now experience what they're going to learn in university. And while we do expect them to move from one year to the next and hopefully get the grades that will allow them to do that, we do help them focus also on the things that are more than just about the coursework. And I really hope that, like I was able to do at York, they can form so many experiences and life skills that will allow them to achieve what they want to achieve out of life. So thank you all, once again, for the extremely distinctive accolade. It's truly an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Congratulations once again to Kathleen Taylor. Our next award honors a graduate and faculty member of York University who has gone above and beyond the call of duty to the school. I invite you to learn more about Mark Wilczewski.
What's kept me here is that there's been a change every few years, unanticipated and actually not even sought for, really. But it's always been a new challenge. It's always been very interesting. It's always been the kind of work I really want to do. I had an advisor. He suggested I work at this camp in Ontario called Camp Towie, which was a camp for kids with learning disabilities, 8 to 12 years old at the time. And I went to that camp, and that's what sort of got me started. I couldn't believe these kids who had learning disabilities, who had been called all kinds of things, who had some tremendous skills and abilities and talents if you knew how to get to them. So I guess the spark originally started with that group. Students have a lot more challenges, I think, that they're facing. If you don't provide the appropriate kinds of accommodations so that you level the playing field, so the students aren't penalized as a result of their disability and they're allowed to demonstrate what they can do, you've got this untapped resource that now can really contribute to society, succeed at university, and do some wonderful things. If you don't have those services, and years ago there weren't those services at any of the universities, very few services, yeah, those students weren't getting here.
Mark Wilczewski is a champion for students. As one of Canada's foremost experts on supporting students who have learning, mental health, and physical disabilities, he has played a pivotal role in the success of literally thousands of York students. Beginning in 1985, as the coordinator of Canada's first post-secondary learning disability program, Mark is currently the Executive Director of Counseling and Disability Services, as well as a faculty member in the Psychology Department. His commitment, skills, and creativity in both student services and the classroom continue to help make York a university of opportunity, where all students can learn and achieve their goals.
Whatever success I've achieved is based on the people around me. We're very fortunate to have a fabulous group of staff in counseling and disability services. I like to believe that I try and encourage people to be as successful as they can be, and I think working together as a team makes everybody more successful. And I was very fortunate to have a graduate supervisor by the name of Harold Minden, who actually was the person who hired me later to run that program for students with learning disabilities. He was fabulous. I mean, this guy was a real doer. He became the head of the counseling center at that time, hired me and that really propelled me along this path. Students send an email or they call and they just say, I don't know if you realize how much your service helped. It's a great moment. The thing that I feel best about is that a number of years ago, I put forward a proposal for a transition program to prepare students with learning disabilities for university. It was the only one of its kind, maybe in North America, but certainly in Canada. That's helped a lot of students get better prepared to succeed at university, and what I feel best about is that now it's virtually every college and university in Ontario has some kind of transition programming like that. What we're trying to do is make sure that it's not just for students with learning disabilities, but for all students with disabilities. So this award, I mean, it's kind of humbling to say the least, because I really think it's a reflection of all the work that all the people in counseling and disability services have done for all these years, and I happen to be heading it at the moment, but it wouldn't be anything without all those folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you the recipient of the 2012 Bryden Alumni Award for Local Hero, Mark Wilczewski.
Keep going, okay. Well, it looks like this is True Confessions Night, starting with Chris. So some of you may know I graduated with a PhD in 1980 from York University in psychology. But in intro psych at McGill University, I got a C. Oh well. There's nothing more to that except that just keep going. Even if you get C's, it can lead to good things. So like the other two recipients before me, I'm truly honored to be among such great fellow Bryden Award winners, past and present, and to have my name associated with Bruce Bryden, who's an individual I've learned has contributed so much in so many ways to York University. And I also want to thank my colleagues, most of them are here, who nominated me, and the York University Alumni Association, in particular the Bryden Awards Committee, for selecting me as the recipient of this year's Local Hero Award. So I have another couple of confessions. I'm not Catholic, actually, but I do have some confessions to make. First of all, as any of you know, I'm sure there are plenty of days when you're on the job and we don't particularly feel like we are heroes. In fact, sometimes we feel quite the opposite. And it's really important on those occasions to have the support of someone to help you get through those situations and keep moving forward. So I'm going to embarrass my wife and just let her know that in my case, she's that person. To my colleagues here, I never breached any confidentiality, okay? I never used names, but she heard plenty of rants with unnamed people in the rants, and she, in those moments, kept me going and saying, you'll be okay. She told me what I needed to hear, like, you're terrific, you're right, you're right, you're right. The second confession I need to make is, although I'm really proud to get this Local Hero Award, I've been struggling with that term, local hero, ever since I was told I got this award. And I've struggled with it mostly because none of the sort of common definitions, the two most common definitions, really fit me. The first one being a remarkably brave person who has shown great courage. Not so much. I don't think so. And the second one being a person with superhuman powers. So there's two big problems with that second one. The first problem is being called a superhero poses an immediate challenge with your staff, who then expect you to do superhero type things, which you can't do. So managing expectations is a big problem when you're called a superhero. And the second one, and trust me on this, the image of me in spandex tights and a cape is not a pretty picture. Trust me. Actually, when I think about it, the people who more closely fit the definition of hero are the many students over the years who've been clients of our counseling and disability services. These students have persevered with their studies in the face of enormous challenges. They have had the courage to face obstacles to higher education head-on and they've been able to overcome them through determination, creativity, and hard work in order to meet their academic goals. Many of those students have had to struggle with extraordinarily difficult life circumstances, and in many cases, they are students who've had to deal with the impact of various types of physical, mental health, and learning disabilities. As many of you know, York's institutional mission statement includes the Latin phrase tentanda via, the way must be tried. In fact, you heard some of this on the video, the reason I was initially hired was because my mentor, the late Professor Harold Minden, believed that a way had to be tried to support students with disabilities at York. And as a result, he secured a grant that allowed him to hire me to lead a program that would address the unique learning challenges of those students. York is a post-secondary institution with a history of trying new ways to improve access to post-secondary education for students from non-traditional backgrounds and to develop strategies to help those students be successful. I'm particularly proud of York's long-standing commitment to social justice and access to higher education. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I started back in 1985. I can't believe I'm saying that. And when I began working there, it was a 3-year pilot project to support students with learning disabilities. I never imagined that I would continue to work at York for the next 27 years. I think the moral of that story is if you stay long enough, you'll get an award. You have to stay long enough. Over the course of all those 27 years, I've been so fortunate to have been able to work with a team of highly dedicated and talented professionals in our counseling and disability services who have worked tirelessly with thousands of students with and without disabilities to help them achieve their goals. It's also been a privilege for me to collaborate with so many of our campus partners, many of them here tonight, who outside of counseling and disability services, all of whom care so deeply about the well-being of York students. These individuals are too numerous to name from so many different departments on campus, but all of them dedicated to helping students achieve academic and personal success, all of them truly worthy of the term local heroes. I believe that this year's Bryden Local Hero Award is an acknowledgement of the tremendous collective efforts of staff and students at York University who have worked together to overcome significant challenges and to achieve student success. And I gratefully accept this award on their behalf. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations to Mark Locheski. We're going to take a very brief pause in the proceedings, about 15 minutes, an opportunity for you to mingle, socialize, check email, all the rest of the things that we do in 2012. But please don't go anywhere because, of course, we have 2 very exciting awards yet to give out, our Redefine the Possible Award and our Outstanding Contributions Awards. Back in 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Auto Rickshaw presents Bollywood Rewind, featuring your MC, Andrew Craig.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, that's what a York education gives you. The ability to change on a dime. Once again, please, Auto Rickshaw presents Bollywood Rewind. Now, some of you folks, either fine arts graduates or professors with colleagues in fine arts, will know that Suba's father is Professor Chichi Shankaran. He's been teaching in the music department, get this, for over 40 years. He's also an internationally renowned percussion virtuoso. I think it's very, very safe to say that musical talent runs in the family. It's my pleasure now to introduce to you the chair of the York University Alumni Association Board. Please welcome Guy Burry.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Kathy Elliott Bryden is here, somewhere over here tonight. I know you're here. Kathy. So to you and members of your family, guests, former Bryden Award winners, and most especially to our award recipients for tonight, Kathleen, John, Mark, Nina, and Chris. Tonight's gathering is about leadership and achievement. It's about celebrating our remarkable alumni, the people that make York the place it is, the people who make us proud to be part of this great university. Bruce Bryden was one such person. For those of you unfamiliar with Bruce's legacy, he was an exceptionally committed and influential leader at York. He was a member of York's inaugural class, believe this, over 50 years ago. After graduating, he returned to the university to found our Alumni Association, which continues to thrive today. He was a member of Senate and the Board of Governors. He was the first alumnus to chair the board. Over 32 years, Bruce helped guide and shape York as it grew from a mere handful of classrooms at the Glendon campus to one of Canada's largest and greatest universities. It's only fitting we continue to honor Bruce's exceptional leadership and commitment by giving awards in his name to the best and the brightest in the York community. Bruce was a good friend of mine, and I can tell you, he actually recruited me on my first stint on the alumni board in 1984. I can tell you how proud he would be to be associated with the remarkably talented group we are honoring here tonight. As always, this year's Bryden Award recipients were chosen by our fabulous selection committee, which thankfully I no longer have to chair. And I'll tell you why. It's becoming more and more difficult to choose. I do want to take this opportunity to thank our chair this year, Tony DiDomenico, who's here, and all of the committee members for their exceptionally hard work. Choosing among so many talented York grads to select tonight's deserving recipients is indeed difficult. We have over 260,000 alumni around the world making a difference, and we have 5 of our very best here tonight. Before I turn things over to Andrew, I'd like to leave you with 2 important thoughts. First and foremost, if you're in Toronto on Tuesday, December 4th, I'd encourage you to join us at the York University Alumni Association annual general meeting, and immediately after that we have a mixer, which is at the Arcadian Loft. It's a great chance to meet some new alumni, and you can find more details on the screen behind me or on the alumni website. More importantly, I have a challenge for you. As you listen, as you have listened to and will listen to more, inspiring thoughts from tonight's honorees, think of someone you know who is working to make this world a better place. And when you get home tonight, or possibly tomorrow when you're sitting at your desk, start the nomination process. Send us a letter, an email, a tweet, a name of a York grad that you think has done something inspiring or has inspired you. We'll work with you to develop the nominations, and then maybe you can see them here on the stage next year. Until then, enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Guy. And I'll have to say, during our little break, I was having a conversation with a couple of folks, And one made the very astute observation that it would be difficult for the person who succeeds Guy in the chair. So one more round of applause, please, for someone who's made such a valuable contribution to our alumni. Thank you so much, Guy. And while we are making acknowledgments, it would be extraordinarily remiss of me as a musician to not acknowledge the other musical talent that's been peppering our entire evening in a beautiful way. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please give some love to our Oscar Peterson Chair in Jazz Performance, Ron Westway, and his quartet. As we say, swing it, swing it. Okay, on to our next award, ladies and gentlemen. The next honor of the night awarded for leadership and successes which are innovative, unconventional, and daring, embodying York's trailblazing motto, redefine the possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Nina Arsenault.
For me, the artist's role is to follow their obsessions. If you work from that point, people will always encounter something meaningful. You want to find that thing that you do that is distinctly you, that's characteristically you. You want to find that thing that you cannot not do. Whether it's storytelling or art making or even having an interview and just talking during an interview, the more that is revealed, the more that is risked. The desire for fame and wealth do not cancel out the desire for love and compassion. Feats are things that most people don't do. Things like staying inside a performance art installation for 40 days or experimenting with extended time in darkness or sleep deprivation, and then coming back to people and communicating what that experience is like. I think once you stop trying to be empowered, you have an opportunity to empower yourself. The person that I'm looking to inspire when I do my own work is myself. Quite frankly, anyone who sets out to be a role model is not inspiring to me. If you want to be inspiring, inspire yourself. Get yourself off. Do what you want to do. Make art from those places.
Multidisciplinary artist Nina Arsenault redefines the possible of her art, herself, and the world around her. She has honestly and unapologetically documented her physical and psychological transformations through theater, photography, film, and print. She also travels the world speaking about gender, sexuality, the fine arts, and the rights and dignity of trans people everywhere. She's received several awards for her work, including Pride Toronto's Unstoppable Award, and continues to give back to York as a guest lecturer and mentor. In fact, it was her former York professor who edited a recent anthology about Nina's work entitled Trans Performing Nina Arsenault, an unreasonable body of work.
Judith Rudakoff was my prof starting back in 1994. She was my playwriting teacher. And then she was my mentor when I did my grad work at York. And we've continued our relationship. I feel incredibly privileged to work with her, benefit from her wisdom. I felt that Winters College residence was, maybe because it's an arts residence, or maybe because there was a lot of queer people as dons at the time. It was just a place to live where you could be anything you wanted to be. For me, that was very changing, that I could be queer, that I could be flamboyant, that I could be outrageous, that I could be not normal. All of that is, was great. I'm honored that I'm winning the Redefine the Possible Award. I consider it a great honor. I feel that they're very, very important people in culture, and I recognize their accomplishments. I feel like I'm in grand company. I believe in heroes. I love heroes. I believe in greatness.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you the recipient of the 2012 Bryden Alumni Award for Redefine the Possible, Nina Arsenault.
Of course, I'm really, really honored to win the Redefine the Possible award. And I think in service of not paying lip service to redefining the possible, it's such a huge honor. I'd like to acknowledge Winters College a little bit more. I talked about it in the video, that it was so okay for me to be a queer person there at Winters. For the first time in my life, I was 18 years old. I could not only be accepted or tolerated, I could have that wonderful, wonderful thing that happens when people do more than only pay lip service to equality. I could actually be equal. Because sometimes when people talk about equality, they mean that you get to be in the room, but you only get to be secondary or tertiary. And unfortunately, that doesn't always happen with what people say to you. That happens with how things are said. To be inside an artistic environment where I was just as good as everyone else, that was life-changing. And when I look at the other women in my community, when I say the women in my community, I mean transgendered women, the ones that unfortunately fall through the cracks of society, who cannot maintain jobs or make significant contributions to culture, I noticed two things. I see a line drawn between the women in my community. Those who are successful, whatever that personal definition of success means to them, number one, had the support and love of their parents. And those who did not, did not. It's that black and white. So I would like to take a moment and acknowledge the love and support of my mother, Sylvia, and my father, Bernie. I think the older I get, the more profoundly I understand how much I am my father's daughter, how profoundly I am my mother's daughter. The other thing I wanted to say about the transgendered women in my community, those of us who have been able to be successful have had the privilege of education. It's that simple. Those of us who have not had the ability to be in school because we get bashed, we get told we're men. The psychic wound of being transgendered is reopened on a daily basis, and we're pushed out of education system. I thank God that I'm able to, if someone calls me a man or says that I'm not as worthwhile as them, I'm so grateful that I'm able to deconstruct the fact that they are attacking me with class notions that they're not aware of, that they're using gender politic, and I'm able to understand these things as oppressive. And those knowledges are not academic or intellectual for me. They mean not only my survival, but my ability to thrive. I have York University to thank for that. And so at this moment in my talk, I would like people to, with an open heart and an open mind, imagine for a moment, what would it be like tomorrow morning if you woke up and you looked into the mirror and you saw the genitals of the opposite sex on your body? What feelings of trauma would that put inside of you? What panic? Would you be able to function in society? And how would that affect your ability to give and receive love? And fortunately, this is a hypothetical situation that I'm asking you to consider, because that's not what happens to us as transgendered women. We don't wake up one day and see the genitals of the opposite sex in the mirror. For me, it was a slow burn that I realized maybe around 3 or 4 years old. And so I ask you again to consider with an open heart and an open mind, what psychological resources does a child have to deal with that realization? I'm talking about the first cut. I'm talking about trauma. The knowing that things will never be the way you want them to be. And in a certain way, I don't think I'm that different than everyone, probably even in this room, because we've all experienced trauma, all of us as a child. I'm very interested in when that first cut takes place, because I think at that point, there's a part of us that stops developing. And so we all are children in adult bodies. But once we realize that, we can know that there's also a virgin part of us that existed before the first cut. And we can be very, very good children. And what's wonderful about children is they love so quickly, so easily, that children are so much more advanced in terms of their emotional life. In the artwork that I've been so privileged to be the creator of through my collaborations with Judith Rudikoff, Buddies in Bad Times Theater, York University, as well as other universities in the States like Cornell and a City University of New York, financed by BMO. I'd just like to acknowledge them in those moments. I'd like to be able to share my understanding that we are not our bodies, that every old person has a young person still inside of them. And that is a very, 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 very wonderful gift. Once you realize that, it gives you a lot that you can do with it. Thank you very much for giving me this time to speak.
Thank you again, Nina. On to our final award, ladies and gentlemen. For his dedication to the advancement of the university through exceptional service, commitment, and contributions, John Hunkin is being honored tonight with the Outstanding Contribution Award.
I think that your chance to be involved and watch how things can grow and develop, and sometimes in a very extraordinary way, is a great reward for the time you put in. York's a different place than any other university in Canada. It's at the top of, in the development area of the largest city in Canada, the most diverse city in Canada, and it is a university that is very much part of the ongoing development of the Canadian story because it's so much an immigrant university. And like my own parents who are immigrants, that is what is going to drive this country forward. And York's role in that, I think, is a very important one, and one that we all should be interested in. The fact that I went here makes a big difference because I was always curious about what is going on at York. But it was really when Dean Horvath got me involved at what is now the Shilluk School that brought me back to campus and got me re-engaged with York.
John Hunkin has played and continues to play a significant role in shaping the modern face of York University. One of only a few to ever serve on the university's Board of Governors, the Schulich School of Business Dean's Advisory Council, and the York University Foundation Board, his decades-long commitment to York is nothing short of remarkable, and the university has benefited greatly from his advice over the past 20-plus years. In addition to his contributions at York, John, a former chairman, president, and CEO at CIBC, is also actively involved in several other community organizations, including the St. Michael's Hospital Foundation and the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. Along with his wife, Susan Crocker, John has also contributed generously to student aid, the Faculty of Fine Arts, and the Schulich School of Business, demonstrating his determination to advance York and its students.
Well, I think in my roles here at York, the one that I spent a lot of time at and got very involved in, of course, was being the chair of the Dean's Advisory Council of the Schulich School. That undoubtedly was a very rewarding experience. I had the privilege of watching how the Schulich School became really a global force, and that was pretty exciting. And at the same time, being on the Board of Governors of York, I had the chance to watch the university grow in general. The really thing that was impressive, I think, at the time about York was the quality of the people that York had brought to the school. You know, starting with the president, Murray Ross, who was an outstanding individual, and to have Jim Gillies, who they recruited from UCLA, who was outstanding also. You could just tell that the faculty had a great desire to create a strong reputation right from the get-go. The excitement now, I think this place is on the verge of, you know, another great growth spurt. Well, when I look and see, you know, some of the previous recipients of this award, and I just think about all the people that I know have worked hard and contributed to what goes on at York, I consider it a real privilege. It's good to be here. It's good to have spent the time I have spent, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great try that again. You wouldn't think I was a CBC broadcaster now, would you? Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you the recipient of the 2012 Bryden Alumni Outstanding Contribution Award, John Hunkin.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I have to tell you, when I got the phone call about this award, and actually they ask you whether you want to accept it, I found that a bit of a no-brainer myself. And then I went and checked the website to see the previous recipients, and I thought maybe they had made a mistake, but I decided not to phone them back to check. You know, when something like this happens to you, you ask yourself, well, how did it happen? And I thought about that. And three of the reasons it happened are sitting at my table tonight. In 1967, I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree and decided that I wasn't prepared for the working world and I should get an MBA. So I started looking around for schools. And I saw that York had started a new program, and it was being run by this gentleman called Dr. James Gillies. And as I found out later, he had brought together some very good people. But what was amazing about it was already the school had hardly turned out a graduate, and it was ranked at not worse than second in Canada. Now, that's a pretty amazing feat. So I applied to the school because I thought it was starting up and I might have a chance to get in. I followed up by a phone call to the school, got Jim Gillies. He actually answered the phone. I said I wanted to come to the school. He said, "Where are you? We'll send you a car."
I credit that very conversation with my success in life. Well, I graduated from York in 1969, and a couple of years later, Jim Gillies moved on to Ottawa and the world of politics. And it was really a lapse of 21 years before I really got re-engaged with York. And that was when Dean Horvath asked me. By the way, I joined Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, and I spent that intervening time there. And Dean Horvath asked me if I would join the Dean's Advisory Board. And that was, I guess, around 21 years ago that all happened. And for the last 12, I've been chair of the advisory board. Now, I've got to tell you, and you know the remarkable achievements that have happened at what is now the Schulich School of Business under the leadership of Dean Horvath. And I have to tell you that actually being the chair of the advisory board is not difficult at all. We meet twice a year. We have a terrific board. And it's called the advisory board. But the reality of it is that every meeting, and I say I've been there for a few years, Dean Horvath comes to the meeting with a full agenda, with so much good news. And God, it's great to be in a place where it just seems to be nothing but good news. And usually the agenda is so full, there is no time to have any advisory go on. And the message in that is, be successful and then no one will question you. So that got me back in with Dean Horvath. I did spend time on the board from about 94 to 2004. And then about a little over a year ago, I had a chance to meet with Dr. Mamdouh Shukra, and he asked me if I would consider coming back on the board. And I agreed to that. And I have to tell you, if you see the picture on the brochure that there is here tonight, there's a picture of each of us who are recipients. And that picture of me, believe it or not, I know I look much younger, but that was taken about last April. And I've now served through 2 board meetings, and now I look like this. So there you go. So, and it has nothing to do with the chair, believe me. She's great. But let me tell you what I think about Dr. Shukri. I think he's the real deal. He came to this country to further his education. So he was a foreign student in Canada. He knows what that's about. And last week, I heard him speak at the Empire Club of Canada, and he talked about post-secondary education, universities in particular, and York, of course, specifically. And what he told us showed that he really recognized the challenges that we have ahead, but he also recognized the opportunities, and particularly the opportunities to go global. And that resonated with me tremendously because, as I say, I've lived through the last 21 years when the whole theme of the Schulich Business School was to go global. And it's been a great success, as we all know, as being ranked as one of the top schools in the world. I think Dr. Shukri has the experience, he had the intelligence, and he's had previous successes that is going to let him deal with the challenges, take advantage of the opportunities, and take York forward and to a very successful future. What I've learned in thinking about why I got this award and how I got involved with York is that at the end of the day, it's all about leadership. And I had the good fortune to meet these 3 leaders involved at York, and I got the opportunity to get involved myself and really have quite a great time over these many years. So I thank them. I thank all of you for coming here tonight to honor all the honorees. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, John. And you know, I really feel like you hit it right on the head. It is about leadership, wherever it's required. And it seems like York University students, past and present, are uniquely positioned to provide leadership and to recognize the need for it in all sorts of areas going global. So thank you for those remarks, very inspiring. I would like for you, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome with me Jeff O'Hagan, the Vice President of Advancement of York University.
Well, thank you very much, and what an evening this has been. It's truly inspiring to see this incredible leadership, as John talked about. And before I talk any further, I should say that John continues to show his leadership at the university as well, with all of the other things that he's done. He's also agreed now to chair yet another group, a new advisory council that we're putting together for the president to help with that advancement of the university, to move us forward as we prepare for the future. So thank you, John, for continuing to show leadership the way you have. It's been a privilege for me as Vice President of Advancement to meet so many of our alumni and to do these kinds of things where we get to recognize people. As was mentioned earlier, we have more than 260,000 alumni now all over the world doing incredible things, and many of you are here tonight. We've honored many of you with the Bryden Awards over the years, and this year's recipients, Chris, Kathleen, Mark, Nina, and John, we're incredibly inspired by you and your stories. Thank you for everything that you do for the university. At York, we strive to prepare our students to be leaders in the world, and you are fantastic examples of that. You continue to inspire us. And while tonight's awards recognize extraordinary individuals from across the university, many of our faculties and departments also honor the achievements of alumni with awards throughout the year, and many of them are listed here on the screens behind us. We have many, many alumni to be proud of. So thank you to all of you, and some of those award winners, by the way, from these other awards throughout the year are also here tonight, and congratulations to all of them. Now, a great evening like this takes many people to make it happen, so once again, I'd like to thank our generous sponsors, Manulife Financial, MBNA, and TD Insurance Malash Monix. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you to all of the volunteers and staff who put so much time into making this night a success. It's a great deal of work, and we appreciate all the work that you do. And I would be remiss, thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't once again recognize Guy Burry for his incredible leadership as the chair of the York University Alumni Association. This is Guy's last official duty for the Bryden Awards. As it was mentioned, he's stepping down from the board, but we're delighted with all of the work that you've done, Guy, over so many years. Thank you so, so much. Another thanks to all of our performers this evening and the Oscar Peterson Chair in Jazz Performance, Ron Westaway and his quartet. And certainly last but not least, a big thanks to our gracious MC, the inspiring and talented Andrew Craig. Thank you so much for doing this tonight. As Guy mentioned earlier, on December the 4th is the Alumni Association Annual General Meeting and Toronto Mixer. I look forward to seeing many of you there. And in the meantime, thank you all for joining us tonight. This concludes the formal part of our evening, but please feel free to take time finishing your dessert out in the lobby and to mingle and get to know more of the great alumni that are here in the room. Thank you all so very much for joining us tonight.